Well, it's another edition of Ins and Outs, and the club we picked this time is Huddersfield Giants. I think we're going to try and get through 2 or 3 today, so it was quite exciting, but this is the first segment. Then we'll have a break. Hopefully we've done all our research for you this week and we get it all right. We've had a couple of internal disagreements with the preparation of some of the comments, and the cast one we had to actually, if we'll be honest, we took it down because we didn't feel we'd done ourselves justice in doing it. We needed to be better than that, so hopefully this is better than that and our opinions are forthright. Again, apologies about us not getting that right. It hopefully won't happen again. So I'm going to hand you over to my son Joseph, and he's going to give you all the ins and outs, and then we're going to get some opinions. Over to you, Joe. Let's go.
Yeah, pressure's on now, I think. So Huddersfield, they've actually a large in and out segment for this week. It's not Saints where there's about 2 in, 2 out. I think there's quite a few in, quite a few out. Not a turnover year, but maybe I think they'd see it as a build or continuation of what they've been creating. I know the coach is a big process. He loves his process, and hopefully this is just the final stage of the process. So I'll go through the outs first. Does that make sense? Or the ins? Yeah. What do you want to do? We'll go through the outs then. So outs. The first one, I think, one of the big names is Danny Levi having to leave and go back home. It was through personal reasons. I think that'll be a big loss. Obviously, one of the standout hookers in the comp last year. I think maybe top 2. Obviously, him, Roby were 2 of the ones that everyone was speaking about. I think Danny made my team of the year anyway. So sad to see him leave the Super League, I think. Dad, you've got Lewis Senior going to Hull KR. Obviously, one of the senior twins. He's gone to Hull KR now, winger / can play a bit of centre, so that's a young player that they've lost. And then another massive signing of theirs that they lost is Ricky Leutele. He's gone to the Leigh Leopards. I think massive signing for Leigh. One of the standout players in Super League last year, played brilliant. I'm sure they'll be sad. I think they've lost a couple that I think they'd probably be sad. I don't know what Huddersfield fans think about this, but I if I were them, I'd be sad over losing Danny Levi, Lewis and Ricky. I think they're the big 3 names of note that you'd be really, you know what I mean, you could feel some type of way that they've gone. You've got the legend himself, Michael Lawrence, the club stalwart, moved on to Bradford. You've got John-Luke Kirby, you've got Michael Lawrence and Chester Butler, who have both gone to Bradford. You've got John-Luke Kirby, who's moved to York. 3 players now that have moved down to the Championship. Fenton, Rogers, George, Roby have also gone on loan. They've gone on loan for the season to the Championship. And then the other one, Dad, and this is the one I want to get your major opinion on. Jake Wardle, obviously moved to Wigan. What do you think's gone on there? Because obviously he's known as a fantastic player, lots of potential. He's known as one of the fastest players in Super League, aren't they? If they actually, with the GPS numbers, isn't he?
I don't think that's going to happen. Sometimes coaches and people don't. It doesn't work, does it? You know, that's obviously been a case of. I thought Jake were going to have a fantastic season last year. Ended up at Warrington last year. You know, part of the Toby King deal. They both now ended up at Wigan have seen something both for Toby and Jake, and they think they can make it work. If there's one club can make it work, it'll be Wigan. So I think it'll just be personality-wise. It'll be a little bit of a coach and a young player knowing where he is and how he wants to go about it. I thought that the rumour was that Jake were going to try and go Australia. So I think he probably needs to earn his stripes here a bit more. So there's still question marks whether Jake looks one of the most fantastic talents in our game. He's got the build, he's got the athleticism, he's got the twitch, he's got the speed, he's got everything to be a superstar of our game. But you've got to be honest, he hasn't done that.
Hasn't hit them out
collectively. He hasn't done that consistently. Wigan are going to be the club who'll try and do it, but you know, I think a big loss. I think along with them, like you've said, some big losses. But hopefully, you can sell the Huddersfield fans the ins, and then they go, "Wow, that's worth that." You know, we'll take that exchange.
Yeah. So the ins, I think there's a couple of big ones. I might save the big one to last. I'll go through some of the what you describe as squad players who will be playing, who would hope to get 15, 20 games this year, maybe less. But I'll start with an interesting one, which I'm Jack Bibby from Wigan. They've got Jack Bibby. He's a young prop. We actually watched him against Leeds in the under 18s, and he played ferociously. One of the toughest carriers. He did a kick return off from kick-off, and it was one of the scariest runs I think I've seen of the year, behind Darnell Bios, I think, number one. But Jack had number 2 of my toughest run I've seen all year. So Huddersfield fans, look forward to seeing that. They've also got Sam Halsall, played at Newcastle on loan. 21 years old, another young player they've got from Wigan. A centre winger, probably replacing Lewis Senior, the exact same position, similar age. Probably they're replacing a young player that they've sadly lost with another. You've got another interesting one is Harvey Livett from Salford. He's 25. He's been around the block now, and Warrington, Salford, and now at Huddersfield. He's not. He's been up and down, and I think he's got potential to have a fantastic game in him. Probably just needs that consistency. I don't know if you think the same. And then the final squad player that I think they'd be hoping with lots of potential is that Harry Rushton. So obviously, I think he got 3 games.
Went really well for Ireland, didn't he?
Went really well for Ireland. Was at the Canberra Raiders last year. Got 3 games. Probably didn't get probably why he's come back. Probably didn't get the opportunity that he thought he would going over. But he's someone who's touted as ridiculous potential. I don't know what.
I talked to Harry's dad and when he was a young man in the England squad, and he was always well thought of at Wigan. Always going to be a bit of a star, and then I think they chose it, whether it's thing, and they chose to take the NRL route. It obviously didn't work because he's back. Hopefully he's gained enough experience. He looked the part at the World Cup, but again, it's too early to say whether he's going to be a success. Along with a lot of them names there, Harvey Livett. We had Harvey with us for about 3 years. Was a young lad. He was a lovely lad, Harvey. Mum were a character, real scouse. Real warm people. Harvey was one of the best 16-year-olds I ever saw. I put him up there with Cameron Smith. That type of high-level talent. But with the talent comes a little bit of lack of the other stuff. And I think Harvey's showed glimpses of, I think the hat-trick, when they were at Warrington, he scored a hat-trick against Leeds, and people have said, wow, I don't know Harvey's best position. He plays back row. I always thought maybe Harvey's a ball-playing 13. There's a back row with a bit Elliot Whiteheadish, got a little bit of football. Sometimes he plays centre. Harvey's at that age now, Joe. I think he's going to have to make his mind up whether he's going to become a top player or it'll just peter out. So I think Harvey, there's a challenge for Harvey. I really had a lot of time for Harvey. So let's hope Harvey gets back on the horse. And he probably needs a bit of stability, a bit like a few of these. He probably needs to find a club where he stays. I thought if you look at where he went at Salford, he'd probably stayed at Salford. Obviously, they've not agreed terms at the money they've said, so he's probably got a chance to go on his field. But there's some names coming
to come. Yeah, I've left the ones out that I think would be considered in the first 13. Really, maybe one extra that can be chucked in. But I'll start with Nathan Peats, obviously replacing Danny Levi. As I said, Danny Levi, absolutely massive loss. One of their players of the year. So do you think Nathan Peats will be able to replicate Danny Levi's success at Huddersfield?
No, I think Danny were that good.
Yeah.
I think they probably got one of the best props in the country for that short
Hooker, yeah.
Hooker. And I think Danny were everything. Certainly for Huddersfield, he didn't have a great World Cup because he had to leave, didn't he? Something happened. I think he had to leave halfway through. But I think, listen, he'll bring a lot of experience. He's played at every level. Maybe that's what they see. They've always got Adam O'Brien, who's very underrated. He's been a show me lad for 10 years, but Adam's always been the one. Whoever they've brought in for the last 6-7 years, they've had Adam there. Adam's very underrated by a lot of people, but don't underestimate Adam. Adam will be the number 1 hooker there. He'll be number 2 to Adam. We'll see. I hope Adam does get his chance to do that, because he's one of them people, Adam, when he does go number 2 at hooker, he don't get monk on, just gets his head down, carries on, and he's just a brilliant bloke. Probably needs to stop being a brilliant bloke and say, Nathan, you get squad number 23 and I'll show you who's best hooker in.
Yeah, fair enough. And then you've got, going up from that, you've got the new starting centre, saying Esan Marsters. Played all right in the World Cup, didn't he? Had some good moments for the Cook Islands. He's 26 years old.
Nice age.
I think he only played 9 times for Gold Coast last year. Obviously, Gold Coast had a very good season for what they were thinking, but probably were looking to play a bit more games than that. I think he's got a brother, haven't they? They've got a family, so he's obviously just wanting to get a full season under his belt and play some good rugby. So hopefully he'll match the potential that I think everyone thinks he's got. Obviously, it's sad didn't get loads at Gold Coast last year, but I think Huddersfield they've been probably tweeting Esan Marsters as much as any other signing they've done, which obviously the big name in our comp is coming later on, but I think they've been pumping Esan Marsters, so they're obviously excited for him to come and play often and obviously get a bunch of tries. The next one I thought I'd mention, I don't think he's not in the first 13. Oh yeah, he is. He's number 4. He's in the first 13. Happy I've left it. Kevin Naiqama.
Kevin Naiqama, yeah.
Naiqama at 33 years old, played 7 times for Sydney Roosters last year.
Legend at Saints. Well, I thought what he did for Saints, it was absolutely fantastic, including that try he scored in the grand final. I think he was very. I could never work out Saints letting him go. I thought it was fantastic, but I got told he wanted to back in.
Yeah, I thought he said he was going to retire, didn't he?
That was the word. And then I actually spoke to a club in the UK and they asked me, they needed a centre. And this was 15 months ago. I said, go for Kevin Naiqama. I've heard he's backing in, but if you can persuade him to stay. I thought he had so much left to offer. They were brilliant in World Cup. It was probably as good. We didn't mention him in our World Cup thing. Kevin Naiqama was absolutely sensational in that World Cup. As good as any centre in the comp. I think it's a fan. Now there you go. I don't get excited a lot on these. That's an exciting side. I think even though he's 33, he looks a total good professional. I thought he was fantastic for Saints, fantastic for Fiji. He's gone and played 7 times at Sydney. Listen, that's not the worst thing not to get a game at Sydney Roosters. They are top 3-4 club in the world. I think he'll be a success. I think even at his age, he looks super fit, super. They said his attitude spoke so highly of him at Saints. So I've got nothing but good things to say about Kevin Naiqama.
Brilliant. Yeah, massive signing. Again, that experience tag in it. I think he fits. He brings an old age. He brings a winning mentality as well, which I think at times Huddersfield might have needed in them playoffs. Someone who's been there and done that and won at the highest level possible. And I think that's probably why they've signed him. They're hoping he'll bring the things off the field as well as on the field to make sure they win, because going off their squad that will go through their 30-man squad, in my opinion, can win the comp. They should be open to win the comp. So they've obviously brought him in to instill this winning mentality to hopefully it is finally Huddersfield's year. The final 2, you've got Jake Bibby from Wigan. Again, he's in the starting 13, played a bit last year. He's 26 years old, so at a good age, going into his prime couple of years. I think good solid signing. Like I said, Wigan.
There's a pattern here. It's weird actually. I'm looking at the pattern of where Watto's going with it all.
A lot of
Wiganers. I'm looking at it. But there's a lot of ex-Wiganers, isn't there? And you know, Harry, there's 3 there alone. They'll either be, when this happens, it's usually an agent will get on with Watto very good, and there'll be a close relationship, and he'll be saying, "Oh, get me these players," and he'll be throwing certain ones out. Because you're looking there, you bring in Jake Bibby in there. Obviously, I think that's his brother Jack. I'm assuming.
I don't think they're related. Actually.
Right. Okay. And then you're looking and you say, well, is it good to lose Lewis Senior and Jake Wardle when you're replacing them? You know, it's. I don't know. There's a bit of this and that with it. It's a funny one. What Watto's gone for here. Looking down, I mean, we're going to go to the next one. The biggest signing next, you'd say, but he's definitely gone for more experience in certain areas.
Yeah,
and he's got he's obviously sourced. He's brought Jake back, But I can say...
Yeah, we're not going into that one.
I'll let you open it up. But it's interesting. I'm looking down here.
You've got 1, 2, 3, if you count Harry Rushton. 4, you've got 4 ex-Wiganers, and then a few Wigan base players like Harvey, Livett, and I thought there was someone else. And then obviously Kevin Naiqama played at Saints, so they've gone successful Lancashire-based players who have played in Lancashire. Yeah, so
what did I say? I assume either Watto's gone out and he's done his own work around that, or he's got an agent who is close to the ground with it, and he's trusted each other to do it.
Yeah, and then the final one, the biggest, I think in my opinion anyway, it's why I've left it till last, the biggest signing of Huddersfield's thing that could make or break their season, I think. Jake Connor, number 1. Jake Connor, the fullback going into the year. He's been given the 1 shirt. He is the fullback going into the 2023 season. Jake, an absolute maverick of a player. On his day, best player in the league. On his worst days, can lose you a game nearly single-handedly. So he's obviously Watto thinks he knows what he's got in Jake. He thinks he can get the best out of him, obviously week in, week out, and get the Jake we all want to see that can win a Super League, that can go and do great things in his career. He's 28 now, so he's probably got 2 or 3 years where he needs to go and do it now, doesn't he, on the biggest stage and win he needs a Super League, Jake Connor. I think he needs a title. He's obviously hoping he can get it with Huddersfield going into the next year.
Listen, we debate Jake on here quite a few times. Jake sometimes takes it that we're having a go at him, and sometimes takes it that hopefully we don't. Again, now sounds like an old record. Jake's gone back to somewhere where he started his career. He obviously feels something back there. I'm sure he's met Watto up and they want to play a certain brand. It's quite interesting, Jake getting the 1 shirt. That means young Pricey. I'll be thinking, will he play half? How are they going to do that one? The main thing they've obviously still got the fullback last year who were their main player. Tui, who were actually one of their best players. So fitting Jake in has always been a problem. As good as what Jake is, and on his day, potentially the best player in Super League on his day. And I feel disrespectful. I'll give you some toffee here, Jake. When you get a talent like Jake's, people tend to think that they always underachieve because the talent's that high. No, Jake, when you're a young lad, when I saw Jake at Stanley play, Jake's probably done more than he can believe. You know, people are still saying he's underachieved. He's not given his full potential. They said that about many mavericks in any sport. They'll say, oh yeah, the famous one with George Best. Listen to George Best, where did it all go wrong? He went, what do you mean? I won European Cup, I did this, I did that. That's me. Paul Gascoigne, you know, and I'm not putting him in that, you know, party stuff, because Jake's supposed to be quiet lad. He's not a partier. He's not. In fact, Gailey and the lads say he's an anorak and a student of the game. He sits and watches podcasts and he's right into it. So that's. But I always don't like when people say they underachieve. I've got a lot of players in we've had. We've probably got 9 or 10-year players, and again, that's hard. Jake Connor, I'm sure, when he looks back and sits back at his career, I don't think he will have thought he's underachieved. I think he'll think he's probably done exactly what... If Jake ends up, I'd say winning a trophy with Huddersfield will be one of his biggest ever things, but he's played for his country, he's earned big money at Hull FC, It's probably, if you've said Super League, Jake would be first 3 on your lips. People are good, Jake Connor.
For excitement, yeah.
And the performance, what my best performance, Jake's, when Luke were doing the commentary, yeah. and he put the thumbs up and that grin, he had that grin on, and he just, that performance that day at Headingley would go down as probably top 3 performance by an away player I have ever seen. And believe me, that's the highest honour I can give Jake, because I've seen some good players down there. That performance that day was that good. He just went through the line, his hands, and he did it like he had all time at Wild, and he's put his thumb up, and you know what? He gave us all a bit of a buzz. And back to our debate, Joe, about whether I'm a supporter of rugby, whether I'm a supporter of whatever. I absolutely love to watch. I've said this before. Are you kidding me? Jake Connor coming to. It's when you're sat having your thing, your hot dog, and you're walking towards seat, you're looking over and you're looking for them players. So, listen, he's gone back to obviously where he feels comfortable. He's gone back to a coach who historically likes to play football. I know he likes his process, but I just look at, they've got a lot of scenarios to happen there. to fit Jake in. If he's going to be the number one, and they're going to play Towie at 6.
Yeah, been given the 6 shirt too.
He's given the 6 shirt. I prefer him as a fullback. I prefer Towie as a fullback. I don't see the structure at half. I think he struggles with them decisions. Sometimes you look at an half and he has to make some really boring decisions. Towie's not going to make them boring decisions. He's going to play off the cuff and give you this magic. Who is the other half back? Who's got the 7?
Theo Farge.
So you've got Theo. Listen, touch wood, he gets through his injuries. Obviously been big money signing last year, and his poor lad's had a lot of injuries. Theo can play structure a lot better than, so that gives you that steer. He's used to the Saints one. They can go through any processes. He'll know how to do it. He just needs to stay on pitch, doesn't he? So you've got young Pricey there, who will then obviously cover fullback and cover. He'll be covering half and fullback.
Yeah, you'd say so, won't you?
You'd say so.
He's got the 32 shirt, Will Price. Maybe a slight, maybe.
You're on your way, son. Pass him his 32 shirt. Quite weird, actually, talking about it when they announced he would go in, and who was the other player? There were 2 at once that he bounced.
Kai Pearce-Paul.
Kai Pearce-Paul, and you're devastated for our game. You are, and we might be announcing one in the next couple of months where people are going to say, well, you did it. But you do, for the comp, you're thinking, oh God. But it's quite funny, actually, because when they do announce it, and they've announced these early to say this, and I'm sat there thinking, God, Will's a bit like, if you look at there, you've got Will, Jake and Harvey Livett all on the day. Mavericks, haven't they?
Well, and Tui Loahea, yeah.
And Tui, so we've got 4. We've got 4 Mavericks. And good on Watto, because Watto's known as a bit of a process and guy completion. Well, you're not going to get... You've got some players there who can turn on a sixpence. But I don't know how he's going to fit all that in. You're putting him up there as being a top 3-4 club.
Yeah.
Listen, I've got our existing players there who I could give the biggest respect for. We've got 3 or 4.
Well, I've got the 34.
Yeah, but I don't want to do it because we keep getting agents DMing our players after the show. And so when we big them up, they DM them. So we're not going to get out of DMs, behave yourself, and do your own homework. So we don't want to. I don't want to sit here doing what we've done last week. We've had it done to us last week, which is hilarious. But we've got. I look at that play. I look at that, and there's a lot. Like I said, we've got a lot of people. You've got Matty English. You've got Ollie Wilson, Owen Trout.
Yeah.
3 absolutely fantastic players who historically are all. I think they're all ready to go. And all Matty's in his last year, and he said to me, "I've never been as fit. I'm ready to go." Owen's in his last year, fantastic talent, fantastic person.
Yeah,
has done amazing. Yeah. That deal we did from Leeds when we did the swap deal was just perfect. If people say, "What's your perfect deal?" Trouty going there at the time for Cruz.
Yeah.
We've done 3 or 4 where we've swapped him and it's worked. Trouty's worked. Yeah. He would not have got the games, in my opinion, at Leeds as he would have done at his field, and he's done brilliant.
Obviously, in his senior year, we've got...
Yeah. I was a bit shocked he didn't get his squad number.
So Innes has got the 25 shirt.
I was absolutely shell-shocked, to be honest with you. That's me saying it honest. I thought the lad did enough last year to deserve it, and he had a fantastic time at Wakey. He came in last year, did fantastic. I think towards the end, it petered out last 4 or 5, 6 games, but before that, I thought it was sensational. Well, started to get his yardage. He doesn't drop many balls. He's still only 22-year-old. I knew Innes and Lewis, one of them had to go. We talked about it as friends, that one of them had to go for the other one to play. It's probably the worst move ever. It sounds like 25, it looks like he's not going to start the season, which I think is shocking. And again, people said don't look too much into squad numbers. It's all right if you've got 3 or 4 or 2. If you've got 25, you're looking into it. You're pissed off to death.
Well, they've give around the centre, so they give the 2 shirt to Jermaine McGilvery, the 3 shirt to Esan Marsters, the 4 shirt to Kevin Naiqama, and the 5 shirt to Jake Bibby.
That's the biggest kick of the teeth. That I'm going to call it honestly.
So the new signing, yeah, and Jake Bibby.
I mean, I did speak to Innes about it. Now I can see, I say that's pretty harsh on that one. I thought he'd done enough. He played about 60, 70 games. I'm going to say something here, it might be controversial. I think Watto's put together this team, and if Watto stays on this for the next 5 years, it's fantastic. If he doesn't, and he wants to move on. He's going to go for it. I think he's all in.
I think he's in this year, yeah.
Yeah, you think he's in. I don't think they are, but you think he's in. But I think he is going all in. I think he said, "This is me." No, I'm saying you think they're going to be successful in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I think he's all in. I don't think they are going to get in the top 3 or 4.
So you think he's in, but they're not going to achieve the success?
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
And I think Watto's mindset here. What you don't want to happen with Moneyball, and I think we're as high on the recruiting as anybody to talk about it. There's a lot of contracts being left at Huddersfield that they're going to have to pick up with Watto. If you know what I mean. If Watto goes on and wins it, oh my God,
don't
amazing!
Matter, does it? Yeah.
He's
After
proved
that, it don't matter.
He's improved the culture of the club. He's after a couple of the Australian Rick Stone, and then Simon. You know, they've had a bad time of it. He has definitely done a fantastic job of pulling this club back together with the help of. People say it was the best. Toulouse is the easiest bloke in the world to deal with. He'd have just backed him. Ken had backed Richard had backed Ian. Ian can't leave this job and say, I didn't get anything I want. What I don't like is if Ian stays brilliant and he runs out his contract with all these. Because historically, they're all his players. But you know, we've talked about this. What you don't want is him going, do you get me?
No, I'm listening.
And some new coach coming in and going, oh my good God. You've got £1.4 million at cap. Is all Watto's opinions of where they are. You're not getting out of that. So this is one for you. This has probably got to work. We're all in. This is Huddersfield's chance. We're going to big them up. You're going to, you can have your thing now. Like why they're going to win it and give it some. But I tell you what, Jay, is all in.
Yeah, the reason I think they're up there is because obviously if you look at last year, did very well for what people were predicting they were going to be. Made the playoffs. Had some brilliant games, didn't they? Went on that big winning run near the end of the season. They won like 8 or 9 straight or something. I know that's not exact, but whatever. They went on a big winning run. And I think they've obviously, I think they're going to struggle without Danny Levi, but I think they've got the squad depth. Their squad is the deepest out of any Super League side I've done research on, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Like I said, we did Hull KRs. Like, they shocked me when I was like, wow, very deep, very good. Paul's done a brilliant job there. But I think also Huddersfield have done a brilliant job. They've got, if we go into why I'm thinking, is that Jake Connor's the starting fullback. Well, who have we got to cover? You've got Tuila here, possibly the second best fullback in the league, third best fullback in the league last season as cover. Then you've got Will Price at half or fullback. Then you've got Ollie Russell in there, who actually had a decent season, didn't he? I think so you've got your fourth choice is a player who, how many games did Ollie get last year? Like 12, 15 games. So I think that's your third, fourth choice halfback. Again, at centre winger, you've got class as in Kevin Naiqama, who's been there, done that. You've got a proven winner in there. Then, sadly for us, you've got any senior backing that up. Backing up Kevin Naiqama, Jermaine McGilvery, who's also played at most levels in England, obviously one of the stars of England in past years, getting a bit older now, but you've got any, I think the squad depth there, which I think you need in rugby league, because there's just that many injuries, obviously with rules, with that many injuries. I think their replacement, obviously in our view, in his senior and a couple of them, Oliver Wilson, the 20 shirt, Adam O'Brien, the 19 shirt, Matty English, 15. You've got Leroy Cudjoe still there with the 21 shirt. They've signed Sam Halsall. He's got the 24.
Did Trout get?
Trout, let me find him. Across the.
I think he got quite.
Trouty got 17.
17. Yeah.
So then you've got your depth there as well is good. You've got Jack Bibby, who we've seen with the 31 shirt. You've got Kieran Rush, who's played for Jamaica, did all right at half at Jamaica, but he's a full-back, I think, or a centre and a half.
And, the squad number 14 at Huddersfield, Ashton Golden, I know no boundaries about talking about this man. If you ask me what do I love in a player, from an agent point of view, and you're learning this, honesty, trust. He'll always be there for you on and off the pitch. Ashton's one of them who just regularly texts me as family. That's it. He just got that beautiful thing. He was the most consistent, tough player in the World Cup for Jamaica. I mean, he played prop. We're talking about a kid who was regarded the best young fullback in the country who got the man of the series against Australia at fullback. Guess who played in that fullback against him?
Leutele, wow.
He got the man of the match. He's now playing 13 lock, hooker, winger, centre. I've never known a player in history, and I'd like to challenge people on this. He's played winger for Huddersfield. He's played centre for Huddersfield. He's played hooker for Huddersfield. Played fullback for Huddersfield. And I think he's even played back row at times. So he's played 5 positions and always gives it 100%. He's my man. He's my man of anything, is Ashton. And again, going back to players and how you are, what a man to have round you. Them words, trust. You know, them words, honesty. If you've got a group of people and trying to be like that, you've got to have Ashton Golden. The problem is, where does he fit in?
Well, I think the fact they've given 14 kind of suggests, if I'm looking around the side, Adam O'Brien's back, starting / backup hooker. I think the 14 number suggests they're going to fit him anywhere, because I don't know what Ashton's, but obviously Jake Connor's been giving it. Tui Lahea played. You've got Will Price there. You've got 3 possibly superstar maverick fullbacks there. So where Ashton's going to fit in, I reckon it's where anyone's injured off the bench.
He's going to be utility off the bench.
The ultimate utility man. I don't think we'll actually see him play much fullback this year. I don't. That might be a massive.
No, listen. As I say, we've had him since he was 17, one of my favourite. Even him doing media, I looked on television last year. He's doing media. He's got a coffee shop plug for him, Otley Ilkley. He's got businesses going. He's got a landscape company. He's doing landscaping. Superman.
Yeah.
Ashton is Superman. He's the real deal. He turns up and gives it all, and off the field he gives it all. If you said to me, pick me, show me side, Ashton Golden's going in number 1 or 2 as a bloke.
Yeah, because he's well, you only got to look at Jamaica, haven't you?
Yeah, he's just a man among men.
Yeah, so that's Ashton. Yeah, probably a good question for the viewers. What position for the Huddersfield fans? Sorry, like what position do you see Ashton Golden playing next year when he comes off the bench, when he starts? Where do you see him fitting in? Because I think it'd be tough for him at fullbacks. Obviously, I reckon they're playing Mavericks at fullback. Ashton's the hard-working animal of a man, isn't he? Like you said, so probably bit of hooker, bit of
loose, bit of centre, bit of wing. I'm going to challenge you.
Yeah, challenge me.
Theo.
Tui. Yep.
Jake.
Yep.
I don't see that. I think you can have 1 Jake, 1 Tui. I don't know how you can. I think Theo, I'd have to play 25 games. I don't know if his body at Saints, he took some real hammer at Saints. He was, what a brave little lad he is. I mean, the lad spoke how brave he was. I can remember his little story when young Lewis Dodsworth put him through on the thing, and I can remember Lewis getting frustrated because he said, Theo never gets injured. He was like, he's that tough, he just bounces back, and Lewis were like, oh my God, I'm not going to get my chance, and he had to wait and wait because this kid's so tough. But when you've had that much hammer, it's very hard then, as you get in thing, you're like, oh my God, I can't see. And I hope I'm proved wrong because my feelings on Rich Toulouse, my feelings on Ken. I think, God, what a story if Ken won it. I don't think there'd be anything better than Ken walking out of grand final for what he's done for this game. This is a guy who's put 12, 13 million pound into a sport which is so needed it. But how do we get Tui, Jake, and Theo? How do we get that 3 to work? And I've said to you, that's got to compete against Lomax, Roby, Dodds, Wellesby. It's got to compete against Jai Fields, Harry, begins with C, the Wigan halfback.
Jai Fields, Kane
Cust, Sam Powell, in what they've got in their pivotal areas. I've questioned Leeds. I want more out of Leeds as 4 pivots. I think for them to be that club. But I'll challenge this. This either works. I just think it's like that, Joe. I just think it's either works. And you can see Tui beating 2, Jake coming on angle, Jake throwing cut-out pass, and everyone into Huddersfield Stadium watching this unbelievable rugby. Or as, I'm not going to mention the coach, but a coach actually said, another coach, and he couldn't believe how you put that together. He thinks that's to be attacked. He said there's too much flamboyancy in the team to get that structure you need to win a grand final. To get that process, what Ian talks about, and to get that toughness. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think what it's I do. I think definitely. Well, that's you've just describing Ian's challenge. I think what you've seen by the signings, if you read in between what you've said there, is that Ian backs himself be able to coach the structure
and he
in,
can coach,
and to coach that structure in, then to have these talents that probably he were missing last year. I think watching Huddersfield, everyone said they apart from if Tui did them steps, but if you stop that, they didn't really offer loads in attack. Brilliant defensively, brilliant, but they didn't offer much creativity, much flair in attack. He's obviously gone, you know what, I'll keep that structure, but I'm going to add Jake Connor, who's got plenty of fluency in attack, plenty of amazing things to offer. You're chucking in.
But it has got to work, hasn't it, Jay? If you look at, I'm looking at, even more I look at it here, this is not now a developing site for 2 years, 3 years.
That's what I said. 3 years. This process is now, this is the result. We're here.
He's got all his ingredients. He thinks he missed out on 4 or 5. He's gone Naiqama, Jake. This is it.
He's been cooking the bread. He's not put the flour on, and he's adding the flour just to add that bit of thing to the bread. Bit of that olive oil.
That's the worst thing I've ever
heard.
That's from a bloke who's never cooked. That's the worst comment I've ever heard in my fucking life. Sorry for swearing.
It's just the final. I think he's got the cake.
He's got the bread, and he's missing the ingredients for the bread.
He's got the cake. I'll do a cake. He's got the cake. He's got this big, amazing, solid structure. It survived. The cake survived the bake, but now he's adding the sprinkles. He's adding the flavour.
He's having the beans and he's having the toast. That's more simply where you're at.
Toast. He's got the cake. He's adding the sprinkles. He's adding the flash now. He's created last year. He's added.
That's a bloke who's been at college in America and he's at tin and he's just talking like him.
He's got this amazing structure to the team that we saw last year, and he's added flair. And I think now more than ever, this is the answer. I don't think he can get away with. If I'm putting it on Watto, he can't get away with saying this is this is a couple year long process now. I think as Jake Connor did a press release, didn't he? I actually sent it to you, didn't I? Last week or the week before, saying, I think we've got a chance. I think we've got to be considered up.
I love that when he said that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Again, our journey at Show Me Huddersfield's been fantastic. Got a really good relationship with them. And people have always knocked Huddersfield for promotion, promoting the game, promoting themselves. Don't get the fans. Empty stadium. What can we do? I think they're trying. And I think they're having to go off the field. They're having to go on the field. I hope that Huddersfield and Watto can accomplish the dreams. If you said to me, give me a club where you want to do well this year, Joe, they're my number 1 or 2. I genuinely want them to do really well. I genuinely do want Huddersfield to do really well. On the other side of that is, I think they're all in.
Can I challenge you on something you've said then on the previous week? If everyone's seen the Hull KR video now, I think you've famously said top 2 or 3. But your reasoning for the top 2 or 3 was that a large part of it was the squad depth. Why are you sold on KR's squad depth? Which I agree with you, brilliant squad depth. They will surprise people, but not sold on a team that did a lot better than Hull KR last year in the league, and then added more squad depth in players that can all play Super League level. They've not signed one person who can't play Super League level.
I'll try that to see. Your biggest ins and outs is Huddersfield in Super League. You've got 9. You must have 8 ins there and 8 outs.
Yeah, 9 and then 1. 10 out, but so out of the outs, there's 4.
In our show ins and outs, there's 19 changes to the team. You're on to do this next year. So you're going to get 19 places have changed.
How many did Hull KR have?
Have a look. I guarantee you there's not another club cast.
I think they were Hull KR at 8, didn't they?
No, I think you'll find it. No, 19 altogether, ins and outs. I think Cast was 6 and other clubs, that's the highest we've done. So I'm saying that, and also you've got, again, I still think Hull KR, this is my reason.
Can you type in how much Hull KR had, ins and outs?
I'll make my ins and outs of that would be as also, I probably see Jez Litton being the pivotal hooker in the comp next year.
Yeah.
I think he could be the best.
Yeah.
I think he could play for England and the job's on and everyone sees what we've all been saying. I think there's a bit of gamble at KR whether they get the 6, 7 right. People like Abdul. Jordan's a bit like, we could throw him into the Jake Connor thing a bit here. We could throw him into Tui. And well, Jordan, that year with Smithy, what best young half in comp. He got back in England squad at 24. They pulled him in. He was that good.
Yeah.
But then Jordan went missing a bit and thingy. So, but I still think on his day, are we going to see the emergence of a superstar in Mikey? I think. How are you looking?
Oh, Sam sent the ins and outs, but I'm trying to count, but I struggle to count. 12 in and outs.
Yeah,
back,
so this, I thought
less,
so.
Yeah, less.
So
give you that, yeah.
you've got a bigger change in what they're doing, and he's got to keep it up. And I just wish I could see, in my humble opinion, a squad there is quality. I just want the pivots to be able to do it. And think about this play, Joe. Let's put it to you like this. The best player they had last year when he played were Ricky Leutele.
You think? Yeah.
For me.
For you, yeah.
When he played, I thought he was sensational.
Yep. Fair, I'd have Danny Levi, so that's 2 out there. Yeah, that's 2 that are...
Toby didn't do his justice last year, so losing Toby from whatever deal, I don't think that was the end of the thing. I think Toby's got this journey and it's going to come. Toby's going to prove to everybody. Jake Wardle, you're looking there, you're going, wow. He's gone for a different take on it.
Yeah.
And Watto has obviously seen something. He's seen something. What you're saying is right. He's not thing right. Do I see them again? Why am I saying that? I think it's probably the pivots. I think even young Pricey is flamboyant and he likes to play that lovely type of brand of rugby. I don't know whether that's got enough of that other stuff in them positions to
Safety,
be able to do it.
the box, the 40-metre box kick.
Theo's not really, he's a box kick man, he's not a talented kicker. He hasn't got he hasn't got that boot where he can do anything with a ball. He's been brought up on the Saints one, he'll box kick chase, he's very good at. So he's not a kicker.
No.
So you're gonna ask Jake to put, I think Jake's gonna get, the problem with giving Jake...
Do the Sam Constantins full-back one, that.
If you give Jake too much of that, then Jake becomes what you said earlier on. You said, and when he don't play well, no, he probably, because when he's that good, but then Jake puts his personality on team, and every play's going to Jake. Suddenly, then it's a different take on it. So I'd have to be convinced there's, around the pivotal areas, there's a lot of imagination. But I think sometimes... You watched it, Joe. That year we watched Johnny Lomax at Catalans. I've never seen him, when they went through that process for that 70-odd minutes and kept basically doing the same thing. We watched Australia in the World Cup final. I'm still flabbergasted.
More the semi-final as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm still flabbergasted how talented Munster and the best player in the world, Cleary, are, but how basic they played in World Cup. Neither of them give us any magic, neither of them, and we're talking about the best 2 halves. If you said to top 5 halfbacks in our country who's best halves in the world, them 2 go in top. I reckon everyone puts them in. You know, I like the other one, don't I? You're not my favourite, but if you put possibly, you're talking state of origin, 2 best halves in the world. Did you see them do anything in this World Cup that you'd go, wow? And I'm learning, Joe. I'm 15 years in. Probably Truey. I'm going to throw Truey into that. Truey's a bit of the old, we see the magic, but can we get this brilliant defender? Can we get this brilliant competitor? Can you play 25 games at the top level without, do you get me?
Yeah.
What I learnt about Munster and them, what's the first thing Munster is toughness. And I never thought that sounds good about an halfback. I used to go, don't be calling an halfback tough. Matty Pete learned me about Thomas Luluai. We've had 50 arguments about the Luluai-Gailey debate. And he's always adamant Thomas was the best defender. I said, but he's an halfback, Matty. Come on.
Yeah.
We don't pay money to go watch an halfback. Defend. He goes, yeah, you do. That's what wins matches. That's why he's got 3 grand finals.
Yeah. And
I'm like, oh God, just admit, you've got to, we've all got to give each other a bit of respect on some of the things that you see. I'd like to see a bit more of that.
Well, obviously, I think if he's obviously thinking he can get enough out of his non-pivot players in defence, in structure, in safety, that he can allow his six and fullback to explore and experiment. Because it's very unlikely that Will Price, Jake Connor, and Tui Loahea will all be on the pitch at the same time. I don't think that's rarely going to happen. I think they'll replace each other.
Well, you've got Price, you've got Harvey's a bit of a flamboyant. No, Harvey's a bit of a...
Well, but Harvey's not in the top 13.
No.
He's not in the 13, so I think you've got Jermaine, decent defender, getting a bit old, obviously older now. You've got Esan Marsters, 50-50. I think we'll have to see. Kevin Naiqama was very solid in defence.
Yeah, very good.
Very good.
He's my signing, Joe. I love him.
You've got Jake Bibby, solid in defence.
Yeah, competitors, Jake.
Yeah, you've got Joe Greenwood is your number 10, is your starting prop, Joe Greenwood. You've got Chris Hill. You've got Joe Greenwood, Chris Hill. You've got Josh Jones and Chris McQueen, all solid. So I think that he's obviously...
Chris McQueen probably be best obviously signing, if it's true what he earned. He's been here for a year. He has been the sensation of all sensations. And listen,
he's obviously...
You're convincing me they've got more of a chance than... I'm going to give you something. You're convincing me they've got more of a chance. I still don't... The fall's got to work for me, kid.
Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, we will see whether that... Well, I think the big debate, at the end of the season, we need to remember... We struggle to remember previous shows. I think we need to remember this and go... What was right? I'm not saying I am right. I'm just saying that would be my argument because I don't know. I don't know whether this will. I think it will though. I think he's got it for this year where you're going to see a top 2 team. I think this competes with Saints, Wigan on the day.
There we go, Huddersfield fans, Huddersfield socials. I know Mr. Toulouse likes to watch the show. There you go. We've hopefully delivered a nice debate for you. We've made it honest. Joe's going all in on Huddersfield. He's looking for it. He actually, this is out to Ian Watson. If it don't work out this year, Ian, Joe's prepared to go and work for you, and get involved in.
No.
See, if you're all in, he's going all in. And for all the stick I'll get about KR, Joe, I'm going to deliver the same stick for you on Huddersfield.
I think what you've said about, obviously what you liked about Jake, I think the key is, I'll put it on Watto here. I don't know if he listens to the show or not. I'll put it on what I think he has to come out and say this is it, boys. I think without saying that, will the players believe? I think the players always believe, but will the fans? Will everyone have a deep belief that they can win it? Obviously, players naturally think they will anyway, but you know what I mean? There's that deep. I think he has to come out and say, this is our year. We've
said everyone needs to come out and say it's their year, because if they're going to challenge Saints, they've got to have the guts to challenge Saints and say, we're going to go for it.
You can't, yeah, exactly. You can't coast and beat Saints. They're too good. You have to come out and get every single player, one of them believing that they're beating them this year.
There you go, Huddersfield fans. Thank you very much. That's the ins and out of Huddersfield. Great debate. Please hit your comments in. Please subscribe. Please share. We do everything to try and make it as interesting.